Hi folks, Dave, the Honest Audiophile. This is the SMSL DS20, and these are my Honest Audiophile impressions. I want to thank Shenzhen Audio for providing the SMSL DS20 for a review. To greatly appreciate it. Shenzhen Audio, you rock. Alright, so the SMSL DS20. This will set you back $180 from your bank account. It is a portable DAC amp. Now, it has a bunch of specs on it, but I'm only going to run through a few of them. If you want all of the rundown of the specs, check out the link down below or whatever is floating around here on the screen. All right, so the SMSL DS20 has it's a quad Sirius Logic CS43131. So 4 Sirius Logic CS43131s inside the DS20. It also has a asynchronous 3rd gen Exmos XU316 USB. It is compatible with Windows, Mac OS, Linux, Android, iOS, and PlayStation, PS5s, and various other gaming devices. It has 32-bit 768, does DSD up to 256, output impedance somewhere around 0, and THD and N 0.0002%. It has dynamic range of 126 dB, SNR of 126 dB, and it has some output power from its headphone amps of 16 and 32 ohm will do 500 milliwatts per channel. 64 ohms, you're at 150 milliwatts. 150 ohms, it's 240 milliwatts per channel. 300 ohm, it's 120 milliwatts per channel. And at 600 ohm, it's 60 milliwatts per channel. Comes in this little box. Get a picture here on the front. And we have a high-res sticker. It's got to sound good. On the back side, you got some specs. Few accessories that you get, nothing too special here. You get a very short USB-C cable, and then you get a longer USB to USB-C cable. You also do get a warranty card and some paperwork. All right, so the SMSL DS20. It's nice looking. You get this glass front. You can see all the internals on it. It says SMSL. Where it says R2R there, that does not mean that it has an R2R ladder DAC. It is, I believe, referencing to the volume control. On the back side, it is flat. It says SMSL and DS20 on it. Nothing on either side or the top part. On the bottom here, you have your volume rocker and a multifunction press button, which will change your USB inputs. You can either go from USB 1.1, which is for like gaming consoles and things like that, or USB 2.0. Then you have your power button, and then you have your USB-C input, your 3.5 output, and 4.4 output. And that's it. So the only input that the SMSL DS20 has is USB-C. The only outputs that it has are headphone outputs of 3.5 and balanced 4.4. So when you turn it on, you hold down the little square button on the bottom, and it comes on, and immediately you see a bunch of LED lights. There is no way to dim those or to turn them off. So if you press the button again, it puts the unit in standby mode. Immediately pressing it will turn it back on. There's no option to dim it. Let me turn the lights off and you can see exactly how bright these LED lights are. There you go. That is exactly how bright those LED lights are. They are extremely, extremely bright. Turn it off. And then when you turn it back on and they cycle, it's extremely, extremely bright. Now, unfortunately, that's a big bummer for me. I wish that it wasn't a glass front and that you could just set it down, because those lights, they're just really, really bright. They don't bother me a whole lot if it's just sitting flat on a desk, as long as I'm not looking at it. But if it's pointed at me in any sort of way, they can get really, really bright. So do keep that in mind. And by turning them off like that, you're putting it in standby and you're not getting music being output. So definitely an oversight by SMSL not putting a dimmer on the LED lights. Battery. So this has a 6,000 milliamp battery, and I find that the battery life is exceptional on this. Now it does have fast charge, and it is about an hour and a half to 2 hours full charge from empty. So it's pretty quick to charge up, and I find that it lasts a long time. I was easily getting 12 to beyond hours of use per battery charge. I had no problems whatsoever. I didn't really find raising the volumes and stuff like that to really cause the DS20 to burn battery more. It just kind of was at its own little leisurely pace, draining its battery. So very good battery life with the SMSL DS20. One thing of note, I was not able to get the DS20 to charge unless it was in standby mode. So that was kind of an unfortunate. If you're listening to music and you have it plugged in, it won't charge. I did find that I had to put it in standby mode always to have it charge, or have it turned off to charge. The output of the headphones jacks. So 32 at 16 ohm and 32 ohm, it does 500 milliwatts per channel. You're going up to 64 ohms, and you go to 350 milliwatts per channel. And then it gets lower and lower from there. At 150 ohm, it's 240 milliwatts per channel. 300 ohm, you're at 120 milliwatts per channel. And then at 600 ohm, it's all the way down to 60 milliwatts per channel. And I found that the SMSL DS20 really didn't have any issues with IEMs, and I didn't really have any issues when it came to the output impedance with IEM matching. Everything was content with it. I didn't have anything that was really hissy or distorting or anything like that. The output impedance is extremely low on the DS20, and I found that it powered all IEMs. There was not an IEM that I could not power with ease with the DS20. Headphones. Headphones were a different story. So easier to drive dynamics, especially things that were 32 ohms or less, or 64 ohms and less, were pretty easy to drive as long as they were a dynamic. I did find that if they were a dynamic with less than 100 sensitivity, they struggled a little bit. But if it was a planar, they really struggled. And I was able to get everything loud for the majority. There were a couple planars that really struggled, like the Moondrop Para and the FIO FT5 and a couple others, which it was really hard to get loud. And I was getting close to maxing out. But the problem was with the planar headphones, that they just sounded thin and very, very weak. They did not sound very full and what they should be sounding like. It did not bring out the potential of planar headphones, especially the hard to drive ones. Dynamics, it was a whole lot better. But some of the harder to drive dynamics, it also sounded somewhat thin and a little bit of lackluster, even though it was better than planar. So if you're going to get a DS20 and you're planning on using over-ear headphones, be wary. It's not going to sound very good, more than likely. IEMs, they'll sound fantastic. So speaking of how it sounds, how does the SMSL DS20 sound? So I found that the SMSL DS20 with its quad Sirius Logic CS43131 DAC chips has a very neutral presentation. It is a very balanced and cohesive presentation, extends nicely into the bass Sub bass has a little bit of rumble and grumble. Mid bass has some nice punch and kick and slam, and there's good texture. And then the upper bass also has a little bit of power and a little bit of authority without bleeding into the lower mid range. I found that the bass was very well controlled, very refined, defined, and focused when it came to its detail resolution and with its detail retrieval. And tone and timbre sounds very natural and accurate. Everything was just very well reproduced, and it sounded very, very accurate and true. Going into the mids had a nice fullness about them while also being very neutral, and I had a nice airy presentation with good air and space, but yet still had that note weight in that body. They had a very good balance throughout. Nothing sounded like it was out of order or trying to draw attention from one side of the mids to the other. Everything sounded very accurate and very cohesive. Very natural presentation when it came to the tone and timbre. And then just like the bass, there's very good details and resolution. Going into the treble extends very nicely, and there's a nice note weight to the body of the notes. Just like the mids, everything has a nice presence about it, and there's very good tone and timbre. Everything sounded very natural and accurate, and there was very good details and resolution as well, along with a nice airy presentation. There's enough bite, edge, and crispness as well, with good energy. The treble has a slight warmth to it, like a warm summer evening breeze. It's just a little bit of, just to take a bit of that bite off, just to make it a little bit softer and less fatiguing. It doesn't go into sterile mode, but it's also not boring mode. It does a nice walk between the two, giving you enough energy, enough bite, sparkle, and crispness and edginess without being fatiguing and without being boring. Soundstage of the SMSL DS20 is also very nice. I found that the soundstage has a nice width about it, does a good job of presenting small, medium, and large, and also gets into that grand size. You really can tell the differences between venues, and things come alive when you're listening to a live audience. I found that the depth is very good. Also, you can really look into a stage nice and far, and everything has its own little place. There's not any fighting for position or crowding in and out, or pushing other things out of the way. It does a good job of giving enough space to each instrument and each vocalist, and everything has its own place. So you can track it across the stage as it moves. Nothing is fighting for position or for the highlights. It's all playing very well cohesively and very balanced, and you can lock on to details and follow them across the stage. It's very, very much, you're right there. Very pinpoint accurate. And then also it does a really good job with its layering. Everything has its own place, and you can follow and track the positions as they move across the stage. Detail retrieval is also really good on the SMSL DS20. I found that the SMSL DS20 was not disappointing at all when it came to detail retrieval. I did not have any moments of where is it? I can't find this. I always hear this. Why I'm not hearing this? I had none of that. I had a lot of times of, oh, wow, I don't normally hear this in a sub $200 DAC amp. I normally don't hear this in a portable device. Oh, wow, this is amazing. I'm hearing details that I normally don't hear or I've never heard before. And then the resolution of those details is very good. There's nice crispness, nice edge, very good bite, and everything is very refined, defined, and focused. The SMSL DS20 is very good when it comes to its technicalities. Tone and timbre is also very natural and accurate. There's a good balance between having note weight and density and body, while also not sounding stuffy and too thick. It doesn't sound thin at all. It has a nice balance of sounding very natural and accurate. Everything sounds very true to its lifelike instrument and vocalist, and I was easily able to determine what the instrument was and follow it through various tracks. So the SMSL DS20, I find it to be a very competent DAC amp, especially for a portable, especially for its price point of $180. I found that it is a pleasure to listen to. but yet also at the same time, it can be nitpicky. It can be very detailed and very resolving and very neutral sounding, but yet it's not boring. It's not fatiguing. It's just very pleasurable to listen to. How does it compare to another DAC amp that I really enjoy? And that is the Muse Hifi M5 Ultra. Now, the Muse M5 Ultra definitely has more going for it. You have transistor mode and tube mode. You also have Bluetooth. You also have the various filters on it. It has all kinds of other things that you can change. The M5 Ultra is fully loaded. It is not a USB-C only DAC amp. It does a lot of other things, but how does it sound compared to the DS20? I find that the M5 Ultra is very natural sounding. It has a nice tone and timbre, very natural and accurate. Can get a little bit on the technical side and analytical leaning neutral side on transistor mode. Putting it in tube mode, you get a little bit more fullness, a little bit more lax sound, and it's a little bit more laid back and a little bit more enjoyable. But the M5 Ultra is not as neutral as the DS20. I find that the M5 Ultra has a little bit more body and isn't quite as detailed and resolving as the DS20. It's going to come down to what you prefer when you're choosing between these two. Do you want tube mode and transistor mode and all the various filters and similar power capabilities, Bluetooth and all that? Maybe you want to go with the M5 Ultra if you want the full feature. But if you want just something that is going to be straight up neutral with working with all the IEMs and not coloring anything, I'd go with the DS20. And for me, I've been finding that I've been using the DS20 more than the M5 Ultra. As much as I like the M5 Ultra, the SMSL DS20 is just more neutral and a little bit more technical, and I just prefer that presentation. So the SMSL DS20, it's basic. It looks really cool. It has enough power for all the IEMs and some headphones. It doesn't have all the flashy features, but it does have annoying LED lights. But I think that the DS20 is for the IEM user that wants something that they can use portable and they can use at their desk without taking up a whole lot of space and without having to have some big, huge desktop DAC amp. The SMSL DS20 is a very good companion for IEM users and sometimes headphone user. But if you are a true, I use IEMs 90% of the time, and I want to be able to use them both at my desk and portable use, and not to worry about it running out of battery in an 8-hour day, and I want it to be clean, neutral, and technical, I would get the SMSL DS20. It's been Dave, the Honest Audiophile. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Speaking of next video, somewhere on screen, subscription links, notification bells. If you haven't already, please check those off. Don't forget to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to the video. Check out all the links down below. There's all kinds of information regarding how you can contact channel, follow channel, support channel. Speaking of supporting channel, I want to thank my supporters through Patreon, YouTube memberships, and also one-time gifts. Thank you very much for all that you give to the channel. It's much appreciated. If you're interested in supporting the channel, there's various ways that you can do it. Check out the links down below. There's also all kinds of other information down below, like gear recommendations, music recommendations, gear rankings, and all kinds of other things are listed down below. So don't forget to check out those links. And lastly, don't forget to enjoy the music and that honesty is the best policy.